Hey guys, how you doing today? So we're back with another video and I wanted to do seasonal for this one because I'm looking at all the reward trees and I basically finished the entire thing. I'm talking like every single reward tree, and the only thing that I have left are the seasonal ones. So you might see me cracking at those once in a while, and for this one here, um, I had to play seasonal games. It asked me to play 5 and I had to win a certain amount of games. So I figured, why don't I just put together a seasonal deck that's good? So if you guys are in a similar situation to me, you can just come in and you can win some games quick and get that challenge over with. So it just made sense. The condition of seasonal right now is that Witchers will boost themselves by 4 and not take any damage. Any other units that are not Witchers are going to damage themselves by 2 first. So you want to capitalize on that and get the extra 2 points for every card that you play. And this includes even when the card's being spawned. So I put in little, tweaks like the Mega Scopes because we're spawning like Griffin Witchers, or we're spawning the Adepts that are going to just come out with a boost of 4 points. We have Target Practice, which we're getting phenomenal value off of the tokens that spawn. So this is actually playing for, almost 10 points here. So it's wild stuff. I wanted to kind of get some consistency because we have a lot of ways that the deck can brick. So the Griffin Witchers are just going to do that. We can also use it as a form of carryover when we have the boost by 2 for the unit we've drawn with the Adrenaline of 4. And of course, all that carryover is going to bring out on the Esco, Vesemir, and Lambert trio that we'll see. And we have huge point slams with the Leo that's just going to go down and boost health by 1 for every Witcher we control. So there's a lot of good things going on with this in terms of chemistry. A lot of decks will include like a basic Vesemir, but I wanted to get location in here as well because I felt like it would be a nasty play with all the extra carryover from the location to be able to bring out yet another target for the Megascope. So I made a little bit of a tweak there. And so also with the Yurden, it made it a little bit tricky because the 11 provision replaces maybe in the old Witcher list how they had like the regular Geralt in some cases. So with a little bit of an extra provision here, and of course, again, location involved, we dropped the Vesemir in this case. I put Esco Pathfinder in. This card goes down for 10 points on deploy, 11 by the end of your turn, so it's a really good way to kind of start the round off, and it demands tall removal. So it's pretty well it. You got Erland. This is going to be obviously the carryover king here, and it's going to be boosting everything in deck by 1. So the only cards that I could put in the deck that weren't Witchers and get away with it, and I feel comfortable with it, are the Lyrian Scythemans, just because the entire row is boosted. So these will play for well above their provisions in every single case, right? We can just stack the row and get some big boosts with that. So funny thing about this deck is that the first game I went to record, I accidentally queued into Pro Rank. So, I'm going to be including that one as well for you guys at the end of the video. The main focus for the video is going to be seasonal, of course, so I just want to show you guys that first. But for those who are maybe considering trying to play this in Pro Rank as well, certain matchups that it does really well, and you'll see what I mean. So let's get into it, and don't forget to subscribe if you like the content you're seeing, guys. I've been posting videos every single day, and that's the plan for the indefinite future. We're going to really try and go at this thing here, so your support would be greatly appreciated. Let's get into it. Alright, first off, we got Carapace. I'm thinking it's probably going to be Kelly, and that makes it very tricky. We're playing against like a super control heavy deck. They can be having like a Kelly and Jurgen combo. Whoever knows what it is, I don't know. And I'm not a big seasonal player, so, I really have no idea what to prepare for. Like, this is kind of the thing that I put together that just made most sense in my head. And I really don't know what people have been playing all month for seasonals. So we have to prepare for the worst and certainly hope for the best here. Again, I'm pretty sure every single person who's playing seasonal right now is probably putting a Yurden, which is why we put one in for ourselves. I don't think you can win a game right now without a Yurden in your deck in seasonal, which makes it a little one-dimensional, but it is what it is. So that's a little bit interesting. Vampires off the get-go. Maybe it's like a Devotion Vampires thing.
For honor.
Only if this deck was this strong in, like, if it was able to somehow boost by 4, those Griffin Witchers would just be disgusting. So I guess their plan's just to bleed us out here. The Veil's not the end of the world. We can keep pinging this down. And you'll see what I mean here. Reinforcements, we got the third one coming up. Like, so much round security with this. At this point I'm thinking devotion, so we're going to go ahead and boost that up. I have no problems doing that, just so that they can't give it bleeding, you know, they can't lock it, whatever have you. I just want to be able to have that Adrenaline 3 effect where, you know, fun trick, if you don't know this one, you put Veil on these, and every single turn it's doing 3 damage once you hit 3 cards in hand or less. So you're just having this passive 3 points per turn, and if they can't answer it, you pretty much are guaranteed the round. No one really wants to play into that. And you'll see the target practice there paid off huge. So getting that +4 plus the 6 point is literally a 10-point card for 4 provisions, so these things are unheard of. We can establish some carryover here. Well, we went first, so we have to obviously tempo a little bit, but if we're going to take carryover, that's the time to take it. When I see someone really pushing towards round win, and, you know, we did go first here, we want to play it up pretty deep. The fact that they purified that, though, really kind of takes away some of our reach. So we can just slam some points here. Look at that. 13 points off the rip just for a 6 provision card. It's nuts. And, you know, it might seem intriguing to panic and to click the Erland here and all that. I wouldn't even bother. I would sooner take the loss on even, I think, than clicking the Erland in most cases, unless you're playing down to absolutely 0. But even then, you click Erland, you overcommit by a ton. They can just pass with the card in their hand, and then you lose so much value for later. So Erland clicking is a pretty well no-go here. We'll get 9 points off that just from them all locking, so that's really cool. And that should at least give us the opportunity to pass here if we're looking for a way out of the round. There. I guess they figured if they played we'll pass, and they didn't have the points in 2, so not bad, not bad. Bleeding was obviously a little bit annoying, but it doesn't really affect the green health too much for us here because of the 4 boost. There's a lot of bleeding that they need to do to really kind of take away from what our game plan is. And, you know, variants of the deck that I'm playing right now saw a lot of competitive play. If you guys look back to, like, the Vi meta when that was a big thing, Witchers were up there as well. That was probably the best Northern Realms deck there was. So, unfortunate for vampires, that archetype wasn't really, you know, treated with the same respect. So, you know, I figured at this point I could probably 2-0 just because I felt like we had a bit more synergy. And we had a lot of good cards in our hands, so it just felt like, okay, long round it gives them more of an opportunity, but here I think we've got it, so we go for the push regardless. I'm trying to put trio on the ranged row, so I want to put location up at the top. We don't really care about our Witcher placement because it's just going to lock itself anyways, and the effect still procs, so you can just dump it on range, so we have more bodies on the ranged row. Got to play around a Yurden a little bit too, which is unfortunate, but that kind of confirms it's not the case, right? Seeing that bleeding at the end of turn is perfect, so I know we can kind of greed it a little bit more. We're going to dive in for the trio, and guys, these are all going to boost. You know, boom, even when they're summoned, they all boost, so that's one of the wild parts about just having this type of deck in Seasonal. Pretty cozy lead. We have obviously full leader we haven't spent, and Leo is going to play for a ton of points. It sucks because both cards we have here we want to play last, but we have to make a choice. Yurden, am I going to do it? I don't think I'm going to do it here, no. I think we actually Leo first, because it's probably more points than taking Yurden in turn before, because it's only 1 extra Witcher, right? Yeah. Get me up to 145. And this is calculated, guys. I'm looking at this like, okay, we got 1 board space left. We're going to lose, obviously, the 6 points on the Keldar next turn, but Jurden's going to come down, it's going to slap. They're row stacking behind that defender. Bam. So we got over 100 point lead in this case. 2 card deficit. I don't think it matters. Unfortunately, it's a little late for something like the Beast to come down. There you have it. That was a huge one, guys. Big 2-0. On to the second one. And normally I try to block names and stuff like that, but we're not talking poorly about anybody we're playing. It's just more or less a spectation here. So we got Precision Strike. This one's going to be pretty tough. I'm thinking right away that they're probably going to be stacking a row with, you know, their what are they? Sentinels? Yeah, Brocklon Sentinels. And then just putting down the Gezras. So we have to play around that. If that is the case, I'm pretty nervous because all these movement engines that they could potentially have. Yeah, and we see it here. The movement engine is going to be nuts. So I don't know if we can actually keep pace with that, guys. Like, Keldar is my main. Like, you know, that's really good. The Witchers are good. We don't see a lot of points off these Adepts here, just because everything's beyond 4. I'm just putting it down for the points land and the Witcher tag. So, you know, in a normal Witcher stack, that's a really good 4 provision bronze, but in this one, it's not very good. It's just, like, you'd almost rather have, like, a practice makes perfect, or target practice, rather, than that one there. And this is just going to get out of pocket real quick. I'm really glad that we're on red coin. Makes it a lot easier to look for a pass here. Maybe we can establish some carryover, but I kind of want to give the impression, regardless of whether we play into the round, that we're playing into the round. So we can look at putting down like a reinforcements, and we can put down like a megascope and stuff like that and see if it takes us anywhere.
Can't see it getting any better than this.
Because we do have that really, really big push, especially when we get 4 of those on the board. That's 12 points in one turn that we just get a damage, and if we ping the right things, we're okay. Obviously, we want to look at, you know, removing a lot of points from that sentry. Like, if we can get the pings down right, then that's gone. So here we go. It'll probably be removed next turn unless they TA it, which I don't see them not doing in this case. There it is. Behringer for the point slam. I don't know how we can get this done in 1 card, but we can certainly do it in 2. This mode is wonky, man. Like, look, 38 points on the board. What would have been like, you're screwed. Like, you would have had to forfeit if this was like an actual ranked game, but the reach that you have with all the extra points is like unbelievable. To be able to see Trio come down in a panic is actually really good. And I'm just looking for a little bit more. I'm hoping for, if I see Trio come down, like, let's see something else here. We still have the huge reach, and I'm like, alright, I can just play 1, we get all that damage coming down next turn. All that damage coming down, so it just makes sense. That's 12 damage. Keldar is going to be putting out 6 a turn. This is where it gets kind of crazy, though. 2 of these on Adrenaline's just, it's a tough one. We play here regardless. We get some snipes off on it. Behringer's not bad. It keeps us like in the round, but it doesn't overcommit. I'd say we've committed a little bit less when you're looking at it at this point. And that's kind of a problem, right? The late Geralt makes it a little bit tricky, just given what we have with all the adrenaline and everything locked. I don't know if it's worth it, because the 4 points per turn, target practice is close though, you know? It is close. Like, we can still get it in one.
I don't train on the cone. I hate it.
There it is. So I'm thinking that their commitments would have just been too big if they kept it that way. So we'll keep Yerden and tuck that back. There it is. So without spending too much, we've established quite a bit of carryover. Keldar is carrying here. Keldar was actually like a really good card in this matchup. Like, it kind of feels bad not being able to take it going forward, but here we are. I know that in a long round we're in trouble, and that they have the order on their location, so it's going to be hard to get back our card. Does not appear to be the pushing hand too. There's so much that we missed. Look at all these golds. Like, I want the trio. We want Quen. There's so many cards we want. And if they're able to pull off that big combo in round 3, I don't know if we're going to be able to take this game, guys. So one of the trio, we do have bricks. However, I do have access to location, which can fix the bricks. I want to greed mulliganing back the trio, but I also don't want to never see them again. So here's a brick that we're obviously going to have to look at taking location to fix. We missed Quen, we missed some pretty good cards. We didn't see Amphibious in this matchup. Now, the Adrenaline card's actually really nice, the one they displayed there. To be able to get those 2 Witchers on the board, the only reason why I didn't put that one is that because I felt like by not doing that, we can get more carryover with our 5s. You know, provisions were also a little bit tricky in that range, and I felt like reinforcements would just pay off a little bit more in like a longer round, for example, to be able to have one of those extra Witchers on the board, something that's actually helping us out, opposed to just tokens that are taking up the board. Because Keldar does it a lot, location does that a lot, the trio does that a lot, right? We're pretty swarmy here. Obviously, playing artifacts and playing Keldar in different rounds is kind of a preferred thing in this case too. I know that they're looking at probably rocking Gezras at this point. It looks like they're kind of stack in row. So we're starting to sort of play around that a little bit. Put some shields in the front. I just want to make sure I don't actually self-clog or anything like that. You know, keep it nice and lean until we're kind of towards the end here. So we'll be able to put those trio back on the range, and of course everything else pretty well. And it's unfortunate that the Gezras and the Cat Witcher are moving like at different times here, because it would be really nice to be able to catch them both with a Yerden on the same row. But fortunately, we're not that lucky here. So we'll go ahead and get some extra carryover. That could have been different. I think I would have actually boosted the one on range, but I was just a little bit worried of the Yerden if they have one. Because base power 4 on the back, I mean, that's like already a pretty good reset. Let alone if we put trio back there, right? It's tough. Like, I'm trying to not play it, but I think we have to next, because, yeah, Yerden's not very good until the end, and then the Scytheman's no good without actually stacking the row first. So this is gross. think they're trying to take Igni here, and I was trying to do some math in the meantime. It's just not enough points. The initiative really got it there, so they don't get any value from the Igni in this case, which I would say they're probably really salty about. Scytheman goes down, we'll play it slow. You know, they could have a Yurden as well. Like, I don't know. Because Igni wouldn't have been top choice. There's the Yurden. So they had a regular Geralt, a Yurden, and an Igni. I got trioed. I got trioed twice. I got trioed from the other Witchers, and then I got trioed from the Geralts. And this just looks helpless at this point. At least these actually came through and got some heal value on them, and then we can just kind of boost everything up here and get something out of the Scythemen. 7 points would be enough, I guess. And then here we go, huge reset, 30-point reset, and the extra boost off the Geralt. That was massive. So going into the last one for this video, guys, this one's actually in pro rank, and I was playing this first before the other 2 games. I was considering just doing a whole like escape enter thing, because it's not what I was planning to do, but I felt like, you know what, let's see if we can just sneak a win in here. It could be Colgrim, it could be Hyperthin, I don't know. This deck is literally teched for seasonal, guys. Like, I wasn't prepared at all to play in the pro ladder. And that's when I knew. That's when I knew right there. I was like, why isn't it boosted? And here we go, right? So yeah, we got the whole, like, when I start to see this combo panning out, I'm thinking it's just Hyperthin. And so if it's Hyperthin, we have to respect the fact that they probably have some pretty tall removal as well. I don't necessarily want to go and boost, you know, anything that I don't need to boost just yet. Also a little bit concerned that it could be Clog, like a bit of both. And if the second one lives here from like another joust or whatever, if they don't have it, then I was planning on going ahead and maybe with like a target practice, you know, just to keep them kind of both looking pretty decent.
You're out slow when I finally get you.
It's annoying that we're on kind of a lose on even path here, so, you know, having to respect that. Eskel goes down. The reason why I decided in this case not to go ahead and take that target practice right away is because if they didn't take out the second one right now, then they probably don't have what they need to do it. And, you know, they're looking for like a mulligan here, and maybe they're actually searching for like a joust or whatever to take out the 4, but until they find it, I think it's just safe. There is a consideration to go ahead and look for boosting that next turn. And so with, you know, that being boosted in the back, they're probably going on the 4 in the back, right? Yeah, so at that point, it's like, we're not going to remove it, so we might as well just focus on maybe another engine or something. Establish a little bit of carryover. And what's really going to help us win the round is actually just trying to keep them in it until we hit 3 cards. Because I figured, like, they're going to look at removing that as soon as possible if they can. I don't like when they hover over my stuff. That's when I'm like, alright, what is it going to be? How are you going to remove it? simple lock. They must have just pulled into that one. So I was never really planning on clicking that anyways, so that's fine. We'll go ahead and we'll take these damage pings here, and we can get rid of that thing in like 2 turns. I'm looking for something that I can Quen into, because like Leo's really good, Keldar's really good. We don't want to Yrden, because I'm feeling like it's hyper thin, and I feel like Yrden in a short round 3 is probably a win condition. So fortunately we got the pass. They respected the fact that we have the Veil on that Griffin Witcher, so that's fine. I don't really know if bleeding in this matchup's like the way to go about it, because like think about it this way, they're trying to thin, so we want to give them less opportunity to do that. So again, we'll just maybe pass here and make it a little bit easier for them, for us. Doesn't have to be a perfect hand, just has to be brick free. And we're running into not finding that amphibious. You know, in like a standard list you might see maybe people are running a couple boiling oils potentially, and you know, a Scoia'tael, but with this one here, like I said, it was built for the sake of having just as little other units other than Witchers as we could. So consistency wasn't the priority. I mean, it was important, but I'm saying like to be able to draw that amphibious, I wasn't looking at that as like the sole win condition. And Megascope in round 3 is like a little but we have to get rid of the trio because we can pull it all with our Quen. Ah, there it is. So Berenger would have been nice, but we can't greedy though too bad. Like we have pretty much everything we need to potentially win this game. Like the hand looks great. I like that we have location to boost one of the trio before we pull out the trio, so look for that sort of line of play. Obviously we can't underestimate how many points they put out here. The whole snowdrop thing's wild. I'm hoping that they snowdrop on melee because we start to see that boost, and you know, I'm starting to feel greedy. A lot of it just comes down to their point separation. If they have really good separation, then you know, that's kind of a lose condition for us, but I think it's a little bit hard for them to respect the Yrden with this deck because, you know, so many ways to just reveal and boost, and only 2 rows, right?
Bolt softens them up, the sword finishes them up.
Both jousts are gone, so we can go ahead and put that down safely. I figured it's going to play for probably more points than like another Adept would at this point, because we just need 1 for the Keldar, and I think we have access to the second one with O'Neill, or with Amphibious, right?
Peace you desire. Prepare for war.
You love to see it. Snowdrop goes down on melee. The majority of their units so far, guys, are on melee, so you have to look at it this way. If they are going to be, like, revealing and boosting, there's a lot more targets on melee, and their goal is to sort of separate the boost so that a one tall unit's not punished. You know, it would take multiple tall punishes. So this just kind of makes me think that, okay, we have sort of an advantage here, maybe that they don't see just yet. And also Sunset Wanderers, I believe, is in hand, so wherever that falls is also going to be lucky for us. Big boost on that. So again, We're down by a considerable amount of points, though, which is ridiculous. The reason why I went for this here over anything else would have been primarily because the shield. So if they're looking to Triss, they're getting a 0-point Triss right now. And we have a lot more shields coming out. Still down by 30 points on even cards, though. You keep that in mind. That's quite bad. Oh my gosh. Okay, so surrender. I was hoping that obviously it was the 12. That's unfortunate there because it breaks the armor. And it's too bad that that goes on range roll. Down by 50 points. I turned one of those off just because if they Triss here... Actually, all the cards are in their hands, so that was a little bit too much of a thing. But at first I was thinking if they Trissed here, then I'd have a protected 4. You know what I mean? So we'd be able to just keep converting those after. But really, we only need the 1, so... And unfortunately, we're not getting that carryover that we want here, just because we have to tuck that back in the deck. We're not going to be looking for it, but it's fine. Keldar has to go online next turn. He's going to go on the range row. And that's perfect. The 3-point Triss starts to give us a little bit of a, you know, more competitive advantage here. They're probably thinking that this game's in the bag and there's no way, but little do they know, one single card can change the entire game, right? And you have to know, like, when I'm playing this, like, I'm confident, but I'm, like, losing faith in our ability to get the win. I'm thinking, like, how are we gonna generate these points? You know? Lots of doubt going around. So already they're even more Yurden value, because we don't have to reset the 7 back to 12. And it turns out that Scytheman we tucked back on the top of the deck actually contributed, I think, a little bit more damage to it, right? Just looking at cramming that here.
But I don't train on the cone. I hate it.
And then we can just fill with the other Scytheman on the front row. Wait, 3, 6, no we can't. Put it on the range row though, I just didn't want to play it first.
No, I never underwent mutation, but I'm still a witch, damn it! I can see Qcento from here.
Hoping it's not some sort of tall removal, right?
Spin around and smash you.
That would be like super bad. And there it is. Big 17-point removal.
Don't ever expect your opponents to line up.
Argument to play Yurden before, but again, I wasn't sure kind of what the last card would be, and I just kind of wanted to see. Yurden last, actually, or second to last, would have been a lot more points. The lead would have been much bigger.